Welcome back to another episode of Life Unscripted. We have an action-packed episode today. We have a great guest, but first, I wanted to let you guys know I'm your host, Nick.
And I'm Kelsey.
And welcome back to another episode. Right, so we have a great guest. Our first guest on Life Unscripted, which is huge.
That's fun. Yeah, I'm excited. That's an honor. I didn't know if you'd had someone else in before me, so I'm happy to be here, be the first guest, chat through this stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be super exciting. I don't think you're really requiring too much of an introduction, but This is Mr. Drew Unruh. He is a social media superstar. Has dealt with Olympians across the world, dealt with the AVP program down in America. He has a plethora of knowledge in this field, but he's also a business owner, a family man, and an overall great person. Drew, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks. I'm kind of like not a person who loves reading my resume. That's like
I'll do that
in the culture that I come from. We don't totally read our resumes, but I'm sure through conversation we'll talk about all the stuff that I've gotten myself into over the years and what that looks like. And it's been a fun journey, fun ride, doing media stuff. And working with some really incredible companies and individuals. And
so let's
talk more about it.
Yeah, so let's start off with kind of introduce yourself.
Sure.
What you do. I know I touched on it a little bit. What you do, kind of what got you to this point today.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I mean, this is nice because you and I really haven't had a conversation yet at this point. So you'll be learning all about me for the first time. Obviously, Nick and I have had some chances to hang out a bit over the last couple of years of coaching together at Niagara College. Do you have any specific questions you want me to spill in? I can give you like a 10-minute version.
Like how you guys know each other.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
That's a great start.
Yeah.
That's a
good question. Good question. So Steve Stone and I have been good buddies for a really, really long time. His wife and I go actually way, way back. I'm a bit older than all of y'all, but so I worked at a summer camp way back in the day that she attended when she was like a little kid.
Oh, wow.
So although she was probably 10 when she started coming. Well, I mean, she probably came before that, but like I kind of remember her family being involved and around that. And so I was in my 20s and she's a little kid at summer camp so I've just known her kind of in that context. We've done music stuff together as well over the years. And so similarly, and then I worked at Eden High School here in Niagara for 4 years while Steve was a student there. So I think I'm actually 10 years older than Steve.
Don't age yourself, Drew.
I know.
Don't do it.
So we don't know how old he is. So that's good. But I got at least a decade of experience, life experience on Steve. But over the years through volleyball stuff, through my connections, when he took the position at Niagara College, he reached out to me and was like, hey, can you like come manage a few of the media stuff? Yeah. Can we talk about recruitment, what that looks like, putting a face on our program digitally and what that means. And just being involved and being around. He knows I'm a pretty big booster for volleyball. I love volleyball. I come from a volleyball family. My wife is a Niagara College alum. She set way back when as well for the women's team. So she's also a big booster of volleyball as well. We love the sport. We're involved in it quite a bit.
Did you play?
So I just played through high school. Okay. I didn't play beyond high school.
Yeah.
And my post-secondary journey was also a little bit. I went right into work out of high school. And then later on, I actually went back to school in the world of trying to find myself. And I went to Brock and just didn't play. I never played collegiate sports. So that's the big joke on our coaching staff is like, I still have all 5 years of my eligibility if they ever need me to like,
do you want to come
strap on them? Yeah.
I'll go back with you.
I'd have to do exactly. There'd probably be a bit of training I need to do to get back on the court.
Hey, that's fine.
Some jump training to get to jump with all those guys. But yeah.
You're a libero.
Yeah.
That's what I did. You don't have to train jump. That's what I
don't have to jump anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of the connection that brought us into each other's lives is through Niagara College and the sports stuff and volleyball and coaching together.
Yeah, it's been great. Drew's been great. Getting, like you said, the big thing for us is getting eyes on the program. We want to be nationally recognized. We don't want to just be in Ontario. Heck, we want to be international. And I think we had one, it was a short, Instagram short, and it ended up going absolutely viral, over 1 million views.
Yeah, totally. Like consistently, I mean, the Instagram algorithm has shifted in the last year. Even from last season to this season, the number of eyes or the number of views we're getting per post is actually pretty radically decreased. And that's just across the board. That's just Instagram throttled the way in which they're pushing content out there. And so in general, it's pretty easy to get about the amount of views that you have followers. That's kind of like an easy, like if you're getting the amount of views that you have followers, you know it's getting to your people. You can kind of watch the statistics on how many followers and non-followers are seeing your content. But I think we've cracked the code a little bit in the interest fact of our reels. So it's this balance for the Knights, and this is just a good social media strategy in general. We can jump right into that. There's this challenge around wanting to ensure that the people who care about you know. We're events based, right? We have games and we have things that we want people to know about, scores, but that is more interesting to people who actually care about us.
Right.
Local people are going to come to a game, or people who are going to stream. I think our streams are really high quality, and so for the Knights, people will be able to watch that. And so you're balancing this issue of like just general content that's interesting and cool and fun and creative, with actually also promoting the events that you're doing. So in the business world, that's a big thing, right? You actually don't want your social media stream to just be all announcements about your company, because that only reaches the people who actually already care about you.
Right.
And so you actually have to think about, well, how do we do it? I don't know. Lots of companies do silly dancing videos or whatever that was on trend in that moment, or that trending audio, in order to garner more eyes on the company or the business. And so we're trying to do that too. So yeah, that specific one you're referencing blew up. It reached over 1 million views.
Yeah.
And we only have like 1,400 followers,
which is crazy.
That kind of reach that you can have on kind of a small, pretty niche. Like we're pretty niche, right? We're like volleyball, collegiate athletes volleyball. It's kind of a niche thing.
It's huge for our competition as well. Like we can always compare ourselves to other teams in the league and surrounding areas.
Yeah.
So to see what they're pulling in, and then to see what we're pulling in, we're definitely getting eyes on the program 100%, which is a huge plus for Steve and the coaching staff to recruit.
I mean, I think it's good for the OCAA in general, right?
Yeah, with this dog, I'm so scared. She's just
loving being around.
It is great for the OCAA, though.
Yeah, right. Like we actually I think for the colleges, in Ontario, I mean in Canada even. Like student athletes bring eyes to the programs in general, and I think athletics is a way. It's the culture that the Knights teams led by Steve is trying to create around. It's not just about producing really great athletes; it's actually also about producing really great people.
Really great,
right? It's a big deal.
It is a big deal, and that's why we do it. That's why we coach. That's why we come every single day, commit so much time. At the end of the day, it's a volunteer position, pretty much. Right?
Yep, for
so
sure.
For us, it's huge. Ivy, what are you doing?
She's just circling the table over.
She is circling the table.
She is a serial licker.
She is crazy. So
I did want to ask, take a step back for a second.
Sure.
Do you manage the Knights Instagram?
I do, yeah.
Okay, so you run it fully.
I do, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's a piece of the puzzle for my coaching. I'm like a little less available for the practices.
Yeah.
So it's actually as a general rule, in chatting with Steve, what I wanted to talk about for this season was actually being available for more games than I was even last year to be around. So far so great. And traveling with the team. I think one of the things that I bring to the team, I mean, these guys know volleyball a ton, and I am learning a ton from them as well. And one of the things I bring to the team, though, is just general life experience.
Yep.
Being a little bit older, actually just, like as weird as it is to say, the guys on the team, there's a good majority of them who are I'd be a young dad, but I could be their dad, right? Like,
yep.
So even if I'm an older brother or however you want to, older cousin, however you want to term it, like there is some additional life values that I have. I've been through some things, experienced some things, and can speak into their lives in that way.
And you've also been part of some very high level volleyball. So I also want to touch on that.
Yeah.
That's a great segue for that.
Thanks. Yeah.
As I mentioned before, you've dealt with Olympians, Sarah Pavin, and some other Olympians that you can touch on.
Canadian Olympians for sure, on the men's and women's side. Yep.
Yeah. And that is a huge transition. So you've seen our sport at such a high level, but you can also see that there's so many similarities from that very high level to where we are.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not professional athletes. Obviously, we have goals to become professional athletes, and we want to give the guys the best experience for that. And I think you coming in and providing a different light on, how can we run this program and how can we endorse this program and show this program to the world to give our guys the best opportunity at reaching that level. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. So I've had some really interesting experiences again through the media stuff that I do. It's allowed me to travel all over the world, get involved in things that I really enjoy. And then I get to like glean information from some really fantastic athletes and coaches. One of the standout experiences that I've had is working with the AVP producing content for their AVP Next program.
Sorry, what? For those that
I was saying, I don't even know what that is. Yeah.
Just expand a little bit on AVP.
So the AVP is the American Volleyball Professionals. It's the American Beach Tour. So it's like the best U.S. beach tour. There's the FIVB, which is the international tour in the beach world. And then the AVP is the American Tour, the U.S. Tour. Those would be kind of the high level beach athletes are playing at. The best beach athletes in the world are playing in the AVP if they're from America, and then those athletes will go play in the FIVB, but you can make a living doing the AVP circuit, playing beach volleyball in the States because it's a big enough market. And in fact, not that this is about Title IX stuff, but the beach volleyball for women in the United States has grown so rapidly because of the Title IX introduction, where you have to scholarship, American universities have to scholarship, or colleges have to scholarship the same amount of men as they do women.
Wow.
So, for example, when that becomes a challenge is you have scholarship for football teams, and football teams carry 85 scholarships.
Yep.
So, and women don't play football, tackle football. So you have to find 85 scholarships for women in sports that match the football teams.
Oh, so it's just like not sport specific, just program wide. So asking men's, women's.
Yeah, in sports. So a sports scholarship specifically, Title IX says you have to scholarship as many women as you scholarship men.
Wow.
And one of those challenges is the football challenge, right? The fact that you have 85 male scholarships for football, that you now have to find other sports to scholarship women for. And so beach volleyball is the way that they do that. In LA, LSU, lots of those schools are producing really incredible beach volleyball athletes, whereas the beach tour, even 10 years ago, would have been indoor players making a transition into the beach world after they came out of their indoor collegiate career. Now you actually have these specialist players who are coming out of the beach, like playing 4 years collegiately beach, and now and then they play professional beach. They're just at a different level, and it's just really, really incredible. Anyway, I don't know why I got on that trail. Other than to say my inroad into these places has been through media creation. I'm producing or photographing or doing video work. And so working with the AVP tour, I got to, for a couple of weeks, go and hang out, become friends with a guy named Scott Davenport. He was a former coach for Sarah and Heather, and then Sarah and Amel when they were playing together. So like our top tier Canadian beach volleyball athletes. And now he's coaching. He's an American, so he lives in LA and in Hermosa Beach. That's where he coaches out of. And he's like former Olympic medalist, former indoor. Like he is like
top
kind
tier
of volleyball god. Like he is
top tier.
His
How
strategy.
did you get in contact with him?
So all of the connections actually come through, local volleyball and through Sarah. So Sarah Pavin is arguably our best Canadian volleyball athlete. At one point, she was ranked like 4th in the world in the indoor circuit for women's volleyball. She plays pro indoor, then she transitioned to beach. She married a Niagara boy.
Okay. So, and you
Let's go Niagara.
Yeah, and his mom runs and manages the Rapids program, which is our volleyball club, our big Niagara volleyball club. It's called Rapids, and his mom, they were like in town doing some stuff when she first transitioned to the beach, which is like a decade ago.
Yeah.
And she knew I did photograph stuff, and she was like, "Hey, would you like be willing to do a photo shoot with her and her new partner Heather, and can we make that happen?" So I just drove up to Toronto, kind of not expecting much other than I'll do this cool photo shoot. Yeah. I love volleyball. I'm kind of involved. I get it. And over that, we struck up a friendship. And then Sarah was doing both indoor and beach at that point in time. And I just was like, I think it was about 8 years ago, single guy, her and her husband were, meaning I didn't have like family relationships or to care about at that moment, but her and her husband were she was playing in Shanghai, and her husband were living in Shanghai playing for the city team there for indoor. And I just was like, hey, I want to come visit. I want to see what your volleyball is like. with that, what's happening there and how that works. And so I got a really cheap flight actually, and flew to Shanghai and just kind of hung out with them and watched her practice and watched the men's team and learned a little bit from them and got to tour Shanghai a little bit, which was really cool.
That's a great experience.
They were living there for a few months. Yeah, it was really, really neat. And then that just kind of spurred into, so that was the connection. Scott started coaching her in the beach circuit, got connected to Scott, got connected to the AVP. Adam, Sarah's husband, also started working for the AVP tour as well. So there was just lots of relational connections there that the media stuff has brought me kind of down the volleyball track, and I got to work with them, which then, the fact that I'm now friends with Sarah, which is amazing. We've become really, really close friends, and that's been just a blast. So we don't really do tons of business stuff together. There is this like separation of friendship and business, which I think is good in the.
It's essential.
Yeah,
it's essential, 100%.
It's important to be able to have clear communication about those kind of things. All I do a lot of work for friends, and that's also an important thing.
Are you self-taught, or did you go to school? Like, how did you get to be doing all of this?
Great question. So I just was like a nerdy kid coming through high school, and I loved Photoshop and photography, and I started shooting. My dad had a film camera, so I started shooting photographs when I was 14 or 15 years old on my dad's film camera, and kind of learning what that meant and the settings. And then when I turned 18, I had a really good buddy who was like the uber nerd of our grade, who started a small website company when he was like 15, which would have been in the mid 90s, right? Like, so to age myself again, right? Like websites weren't really a thing. And he had this like idea of doing websites for bed and breakfasts in Niagara-on-the-Lake. And at the time, there was about 350 bed and breakfasts, registered bed and breakfasts. That was pre-Airbnb. So there's like, none of these bed and breakfasts had web presence. It's kind of a new budding thing. And so in the late 90s, early 2000s, that's what we did, is we made websites for bed and breakfasts.
Wow.
And then we spilled out into other things. He, out of high school, went to Brock and started his business degree. And I came on as his like first employee ever. We called me an art director, but it was like two late teenagers, early 20-year-olds just like figuring it out together, right? Figuring out how to do this stuff together. And he really trusted me to do that. He ended up growing that company. I left in the mid to late 2000s to go, and that's when I went back to school. I had this like belief that I wanted to be a clinical psychologist. So I went back and enrolled to do a psychology degree, and realized I actually didn't want to do 7 years of school to go clinical.
So you didn't finish it? Never finished?
Yeah,
yeah.
Exactly. Like,
how far
she transitioned to a comms degree. So you talk about it as a self-taught or is it learned? All the practical stuff is self-taught.
Right.
But the theory of it, the comms stuff, is university.
Okay.
And so, sitting at a computer editing photos or editing videos, I just soak up YouTube and ask lots of questions and ask people who are better than me. And I've learned a lot over the years doing it, self-taught stuff.
What did you lean on back then? Was YouTube a thing when you initially started?
No. Like, literally.
I don't mean to hand you again.
No, like, it wasn't invented yet.
But so what was just balancing ideas?
Resource?
Like when we started this podcast, I was on YouTube all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's huge. Like YouTube is a huge source of information. It's a plethora of knowledge now.
Yeah.
So back then,
yeah,
what was that?
So
reason?
I had a really solid base in digital photo editing and in Photoshop, and that kind of was getting me through. I was like, I can just do photo stuff. This is great, no problem. That helped me do design work as well. But we were like, working in a program called I can't remember what it was called, but like Adobe programs that like don't exist anymore. Adobe's the company that created Photoshop. But like they had this whole series of Dreamweaver was one of them. Like doesn't exist anymore. That you would create websites in Dreamweaver. It's not a thing right now. We use
Dreamweaver.
Yeah, now we use this. I design a program called Experience Design XD. It's like a totally different way of doing what I did way back when.
Okay.
And then I started getting interested in video, and I had a buddy. It's like the classic, right? Like,
Had a buddy.
I had a guy, and he was really good at it, and he was really young, and he had just like bought Final Cut Pro, like the program, and he had learned it, and he was like into it. And I just like was like, hey man, can you teach me how to edit videos? And so he taught me how to use the shortcuts, how to do stuff, how to And that kind of put me down the road of doing the editing stuff. And then I got a job at a church, and that's just an interesting piece of the puzzle, working at a church. And that feels like a lifetime ago as well. But the thing we said about that is, so it was a church that was multiple locations.
Okay.
3 locations, same church, same video elements going out to all 3 locations. Wow. And so every week we produced essentially a short news show that like when I say church, a lot of people think high church or Catholic church or, liturgical church.
Yeah.
We were like a media church.
Yeah.
Which is like
that's awesome.
It's like a thing in our society, in our culture. And so one of the final years that I was working in that gig, I produced like 360 pieces of content in a year.
Wow.
So almost a piece of content per day.
Yeah.
And it was like, we would do like news serials. So we would tell a story about some local thing that was happening, and we'd go out and stand in front of the camera, set up the camera, talk about it, interview people, and then package it all up, and then it would air on.
How long were they?
Like anywhere between 2 and 3 minute pieces, stops. And then we would do, we weren't really pushing to social at that point. I mean, not a huge piece of the puzzle for content creation now, but we were like using it in these live events, right? These live church events. And then we would do all this creative stuff. So whatever the topic for the Sunday was, whether the topic was marriage, let's say we're talking about how to have a good marriage or how to be in good relationship with each other, we'd go and interview people. So I actually remember like 15 years ago sitting down with my parents. I think they had a really interesting, unique marriage,
right?
And a really beautiful story of forgiveness and some challenges, as we all have in our relationships. But I sat down and interviewed them and asked them like some questions, along with some other couples, but had sat them in front of a camera and interviewed them, asked them questions, and then pieced that together into like really quick kind of hits, hitting the big points. And so I just like in the world of doing anything, I don't know if you probably have heard of this, but this idea of like to become an expert, you put your 10,000 hours in.
Yep. Mainly in the athletic world, that's what I've heard it in. Yeah, 10,000 reps.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
And so we've always joked that at that job, there's been a few of us that kind of worked for this church or around this church or volunteered in this church. It was like really easy to get your 10,000 hours really, really fast.
Right.
There's just lots to do.
Yeah.
Lots and lots to do. And the budgets were slim. So we would, we're not talking big budget. We didn't have to figure out how to do it and do it on the cheap. And that's not really my life anymore.
No, but I'm sure it obviously has helped you tons of, now that even on your current projects, you have a budget, but you know how to do it cheap. So then it's just, and
I got a ton of reps. Like I got a ton of opportunities to make mistakes and actually not be on like high, big ticket corporate projects.
Right. The bill is very big.
Yeah. And like you kind of can't make mistakes.
Yeah.
And so I learned a lot from that experience, and it was really, really cool. It was like this opportunity to get tons of reps.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And how have you seen, this is another topic I really want to dive into because I know you have a ton of knowledge on it. Looking back to see where, everything's gone, technology, media, digital footprints, all of that, to now be at the point that AI is a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. We're on the cusp. Something really wild.
Something absolutely crazy.
Yeah, totally. So like I'm a hobbyist, right? There are people who really do this stuff, who really care about
AI.
Okay, so in plain terms, what is AI?
Artificial intelligence.
Okay.
Robots.
Robots.
Right.
Yeah.
But I've heard a lot about it, especially on TikTok, where like you'll like watch something in the comments or like, this is definitely AI. And I'm like, that's insane.
Yeah. So, well, there's so many, it's really expanding at a rapid rate currently. That's really interesting. I mean, recent history. So my dad had he recently passed. That's why I'm using past tense language for my dad, but which is just new for me. So I'm processing that in the moment. Yeah, thanks. We had a really beautiful relationship and had really amazing opportunities to be together kind of in his final days as well. And it was really super meaningful. So
that's going to be
yeah, we grieve. I've been saying like, actually the thing that I'm selfishly sad about is I have a 3.5-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
And I have a 20-year-old niece, and my 21-year-old niece, she like had all these amazing opportunities to have these memories with her papa that my daughter won't have.
Yeah.
But we have this legacy of love with my dad that, you know, the older cousins will be able to share with my 3.5-year-old and onward.
You guys are all a piece of him as well, too. So you guys are all a piece of him. He's still there. He's just, I've always said that when people pass on, they are still with you, but they're just with you in a different aspect. They're with you in a different way. They're not there with you sitting at the table, but they're there with you still.
Yes.
So that's my look on
we feel that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like sad and selfishly sad for the people, for us that don't get to continue to experience his love and uniqueness and who he was, right?
Yeah.
He's a good dad and an amazing grandpa. He like really was. He was like, he doted on his grandkids. He really loved them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. So legacy there for sure. What was the question? How did I lose? Oh, AI. Yeah, thanks. So up until 12-ish months ago, when everybody said something was AI, what they really meant was it was a computer program that a human had coded.
Okay.
And they would say, this is artificial intelligence. And that was like mostly true, but there was always arguments on the side of like, no, it's actually just code language. Like this is just code that is doing this thing, that we're calling AI. But I think we're actually, and the goal was always to create something called an artificial general intelligence, or an AGI.
Right.
And
is that a robot?
That AGI is a robot.
Okay.
An AGI is an intelligence that has surpassed human intelligence and can start to solve problems that either it hasn't been taught before, so it can start to do problem solving, even at a rudimentary level, right? Like AGIs don't exist. I'm gonna put that in scare quotes, that they don't exist.
Okay.
Because there's like massive news coming out of OpenAI, which is the company that created ChatGPT. It's like all the rage. Everyone knows the term ChatGPT. OpenAI created this. So there's this like really interesting thing happening currently that I actually don't know a ton about, but I'm trying to consume as much about it because I find it so interesting that ChatGPT has possibly found the road to an AGI. And that's actually both scary and incredible.
Yeah.
Elon Musk, we all know that name, has said that if an AGI is created, money will no longer be needed. Like we won't actually use currency the way we currently use it if an AGI is created.
Because I'm assuming we just won't work jobs. They'll take over for the job.
The theory being that an AGI would be able to do anything that has financial significance in our culture.
Wow. Well, which is everything.
So there's menial tasks that humans might have to create. But even as I start thinking about it, I can start to come up with ideas of ways that robots or an AGI could build a robot to do things better than humans can do. We're kind of clunky. We're kind of clunky machines.
We are.
Right? We trip. We make mistakes. We cut ourselves. Right? Like
we make mistakes.
Yeah, totally. Like we make physical mistakes. We make mental mistakes. We get tired. We show up hungover. Like all of these things that robots wouldn't do.
Humans need to take a break. We're like, robots do not.
We have to sleep.
Yeah.
All of that stuff. Totally. So what's the question?
So for an AI, sorry, I want to back it up just a bit.
Yes.
So AI is more, I'm on my computer, I'm programming it to do X, Y, Z.
Yeah. So there's a few different ways in which that happens. The big one right now is called a large language model. Large language learning model. So it's an LLM.
It's LLMs here. Okay.
And that's what ChatGPT is. So ChatGPT has been fed up to 2002 is the thing. Every piece of written content that's ever been digitized until 2002. Wow. And then it can take that, and essentially what it's doing is making guesses and learning what the next word in a sentence is. And it does that by knowing every sentence ever written by any other human.
Right.
So it knows that if I put blue, then if I ask it a question like, what color is a bluebird?
Right.
It starts to do the research and starts to put those answers into a sentence. Wow. And it feels to us as we're reading ChatGPT, it feels like it's interacting with us. But it's all it's actually doing is taking letters, taking words and putting them in place to put it in. It's not actually AGI.
So
it's
AI is more of a pattern finder.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
They find patterns. And I remember when AI first came out, people are like, okay, this is going to be terrible because once it learns how to do these things beyond what we know how to do, that's when it becomes a problem. Then you have an actual thinking robot that can be, I actually don't want to get up today. I want to continue laying in bed. But AI, if we haven't programmed it to do that, it won't.
Right.
So AGI can now think
AGI
on its own. When it becomes.
Doesn't exist.
When it comes out.
There's really, really radical things. You can go and Google this and you'll get lots of stuff.
Yeah.
A guy named Sam Altman and something called Q star. And what Q star actually means. And theoretically, Q star is like a secret project by OpenAI. It's been proven. This is not conspiracy.
Are we allowed to talk about that?
Yeah, it's like not conspiracy theory.
Are we allowed to talk about this?
Real. We don't know the details. Nobody has OpenAI hasn't shared the details yet. But essentially, everybody who's talking about this is theorizing that it's a road to an AGI. It's a road to a type of AGI. So the other cool thing, and the way in which I actually use AI almost every day today, which I couldn't have done even 8 months ago, and that's how fast this is changing, is like the way I work has radically changed in the last 8 to 12 months, is something called stable diffusion. And stable diffusion is the way in which an AI bot creates images. So what it does is it actually takes a noise field, messiness,
right,
and starts to remove pixels until it gets what it wants or what you've asked it for. And so these are how text to image programs work.
Wow.
So the big ones would be Midjourney, DALL-E. Those would be kind of the big, well-known ones. There's a ton out there at this point. They're actually rolling out more and more and quicker. There's some challenges with them because they also need to be trained on things, so that trained on other images, videos, photos. And so copyright is a massive question in this world, right? Lots of people surmise that Midjourney was trained on copyrighted material, like every movie ever created, as an example, which is like legally really great.
Yeah.
Really
yeah.
challenge, right?
Yeah.
And then it learns from human feedback. So I make an image and I say that wasn't right, or you made an image with 4 fingers instead of 5 fingers, and I make it do it again, and it keeps learning. And because there's millions of us doing this, millions of humans training these programs by making it do what we want it to do, the rate at which it's increasing and getting better is really wild. Even since I started using Midjourney, the my ability to create an image that looks indistinguishable from something I've taken with my camera has become real. So I went from not being able to do that and being pretty cool, but obviously AI created, to I truly believe if I took a photo, we're really good at recognizing other humans. So looking at images of humans, I think we can pick stuff up quicker.
Yeah.
But we're pretty bad at recognizing or do pattern recognition with like nature.
Okay.
Right.
So I really believe I could take a photo of a lake that you've never seen before, and then I could text prompt a photo of a similar lake.
And we wouldn't know the difference.
You wouldn't know the difference. Wow. You wouldn't be able to tell which one I took and which one I created with, or which one I formed with.
Yeah. And I guess that's the scary part, because what if they AI the prime minister or the president saying something?
Yeah.
We wouldn't be able to know the difference.
So I'm still not understanding what this robot is. Like, I'm picturing like the movie WALL-E and this robot going around doing all of these things.
It's just code.
Have you watched iRobot?
No.
Will Smith?
No.
Okay, there's this really great movie called iRobot where one of the robots, so it's like a society that...
Like an actual robot?
An actual robot.
Okay.
An actual robot.
Yeah.
The society has like created all these robots as basically helpers to humans.
Right.
And the plot, spoiler alert, it's really old, so spoiler alert, go watch it.
Yeah.
Pause now, go watch it, come back, finish the episode, because I'm going to spoil the movie.
Sick.
One of the robots becomes sentient, becomes as intelligent as a human, starts to have empathy, and starts to have emotions.
Okay.
in science fiction, this becomes problematic when we give an AI a task like clean up the world's garbage. The theory is that the quickest way to stop the world from being filled with garbage...
Stop producing it.
And how do we stop producing garbage?
Kill humans.
Right. Remove humans from the equation.
Great. That's awesome.
So you start doing that in lots of different ways, and you realize, like an AI that's been given a task that wants to protect the world or stop war, or what's
the root cause of it?
What's the logical conclusion?
Yeah,
destroying humanity.
Yeah,
it's really problematic.
And they're also smarter than us, so where we'd be like, stop throwing something in the garbage or stop using so much trash. No, the people who are producing that, they need to die.
Yeah. Which is Terminator, right? Like that's the theory. That's the, I mean, another spoiler. All of the science fiction stuff that's starting to come true is really wild.
Did The Simpsons predict any of this? Do you know?
Probably. Yeah,
they seem to predict everything, and I just don't get it.
I just wonder if I noticed the other day that there's actually more new Simpsons episodes coming out currently.
Yeah.
Like, do they just have so many episodes
that people just don't know?
On forever.
Yeah. So, interestingly, here's an interesting thing to tie it into the social media world. I just actually saw today or yesterday, I was floating around, and there is, it's either in Spain, I think it's called Spain, might be Italy, but I think it's Spain. There's an ad agency in Spain that has created a model, an AI human-looking female model that is on social, that is promoting products, that is doing all the things that an influencer, a social influencer would be doing. Really interesting looking, really beautiful woman, promoting all these products. Like, think classic influencer. Created by created by these, there's like, at the end of the article, there's like these three computer nerds, like sitting behind a computer.
Yeah.
A couple of guys and a girl. And
this is our model.
Yeah, and they made this model. And the model is currently pulling in like $10,000 a month.
Wow.
Doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And is getting like DMs from celebrities who thinks it's a real person. 'Cause how would you ever know?
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't ever know.
Wow.
There's just no way.
Yeah.
So yeah, you extrapolate that again to the challenging part of political leaders. Like, I currently am at the place where I'm trying to engage with visual media on the internet, assuming it's not real.
Yeah.
It's like really hard. But like, I don't know how else to engage with media right now.
It's tough unless it's being fact checked. It's tough. Yeah.
I saw this thing going around, and I don't know the correct terms or anything like that. But basically, somebody created like, I don't know what went down, but basically it was Kendall Jenner, and you could FaceTime her.
Yeah.
And it was literally her.
Yeah.
And she could have a conversation with you, but it wasn't her.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know if that's AI or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
So that's like a real world great example.
Yeah.
Of these avatars that are being created from celebrities.
Yep.
That you can then have personal interactions with.
Right. But then it's like, you get this AI to say something, and then someone screen records, and then it's posted, and then like, I feel like that could just lead to a big mess.
Big time.
Yeah. I guess there is no line right now, but what is stopping you or I from creating an Instagram model and reaping the benefits from it?
Nothing.
Numerically.
When I saw that article today that Instagram model was making that much money per month, I was like, like maybe I should do that. Like maybe that's my next business idea. I don't know.
I'd be curious to see the legal side of it.
Yeah, it's totally challenging.
That's really a complete gray area.
Yeah, it totally is. So there's been a Supreme Court decision that AI artwork currently can't be copyrighted, which means if I was to draw or even take photographs, a comic book, someone couldn't take that comic book and the characters in that comic book. I own that, right? I register them, copyright them. But if I create something currently with AI, like Midjourney or Dolly, that it can't actually, those images can't actually be taken, or copyrighted. So I can make everything, send it out there, but then you could come along and make a derivative work of that using the exact same characters, the same artwork, the same thing. So there's like things like that coming down the pipe, right? Where we make these Instagram models, someone else could just make, like, we could go make that same Instagram model.
Right.
Yeah, what's stopping us?
Legally, nothing currently.
And you've already worked on making the same avatar over and over again.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty wacky.
All right, that's the end of this podcast.
Wow, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's wild. It's wild the things, like there are accounts that I follow and they're not, the video side of things in the AI creation is not great yet. It's good. It's really good, but it's not great yet. But there's an account, a specific account that I follow who has replaced himself with an AI avatar. It's pretty obvious to me. He looks kind of animated, but like think about, but we're also 6 months away from AI not understanding how to make a human look proper in a photo.
Right.
So what are we, 6 months, 12 months away from video looking perfect?
Right.
And now you don't have to sit in front of the camera anymore to make your videos. Right. You just can program a AI, text prompt it, run an hour, 30 minutes of your own voice through an AI processor, and now you can have a text to speech podcast with video avatars. It's like wacky.
Yeah.
And kind of like disappointing.
Yeah.
It is.
A little bit.
I kind of, that's why I wanted to tie it back to originally when you were starting about coming up and learning everything hands-on firsthand. Do you think that you would be 10 times, lazier? Like, I feel like this is just promoting laziness.
I got questions for you. Being like a tech generation removed from me.
Yeah.
So do you feel techie?
I'd say we're techie.
In what sense?
Could you fix any problem that comes up with a computer?
Absolutely not.
No. But I could search it.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm good enough, like mechanically, that I could then implement it.
So mechanically is a good example of what the point I'm driving at here in a roundabout way. I was reading about my generation versus the new generation. I'm not technically a digital native. Like I grew up in my elementary schools before the internet. We had computers that didn't have the internet on it. Right. It was a big deal in my late elementary school that we got Encyclopedia Britannica on CD-ROM or DVD-ROM, probably CD-ROM to be honest. That was like a big deal, right? I assume your classroom school computers had internet on it forever.
Yep.
Right? Like you are true digital natives. You have not grown up in a world without the internet. And I didn't really either. I mean, I was a little kid when the internet started being a thing, right? So I didn't also grow up with like cell phones. Like I had a Nokia brick phone with Snake on it. I had to learn how to text with T9 as a thing. Like
that's
the button
like
three
three.
Yeah.
We had that. We had like a Samsung Flip or whatever.
Sure.
We had that.
Yeah.
Like that was like until I was like in my mid-20s though. That was the thing. Right. That's how I was texting. So when something went wrong or something broke, like we took it apart, we tinkered with it. Like I grew up pulling VCRs apart and figuring out how to put them back together so they worked again. Like there was this tech understanding that that isn't a reality for your generation or younger because our stuff actually works.
Yeah.
Because our stuff doesn't break.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, my phone doesn't break.
Yeah.
It just works.
I'd say there's a select few individuals that are like that like taking things apart, and they end up being in the engineering field.
Yeah.
That is what they end up liking to do.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's a niche amount of people that do that, but everybody just calls them weirdos now. That's what they do. They call them weirdos.
My brother loves to take apart computers.
Okay, cool.
I don't even know it's not, I don't know the terms. I've only ever had a laptop, but it's like the monitor part, I think.
Yeah.
The tower. Yeah. And he will like take that apart and like reconstruct it.
Didn't he just build one?
He just built one, yeah. But he will do that like frequently, and he just loves it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like not the norm.
No,
right?
Not at all.
Like I would on a regular basis, I would upgrade my own computer, my own tower when I was younger, pulling the RAM out. Like now in my laptop, the RAM is a part of the motherboard. Those are nerd terms. I actually don't even really understand them.
Yeah.
But also my hard drive is a part of my motherboard. And I just learned this recently that that's true for my laptop. You used to be able to pull a hard drive out, take a computer apart, pull a hard drive out, put it back.
Or upgrade it.
Upgrade it, make it bigger.
Yep.
On these new Mac computers, the hard drive is baked into the motherboard. So I had a motherboard error.
So you need a new laptop?
So I needed to do everything. I needed a whole new motherboard and a whole new hard drive, and I lost all my data. Now it doesn't really matter because I back all my data up.
Right.
So I didn't actually lose any data.
Right.
But I was
You didn't.
a week and a half. Well, and lots of people don't back their data up as religiously as I do because I have client work that I just can't lose. It'd be
Catastrophic.
devastating.
Yeah.
Financially devastating. And it's still like I couldn't just replace the motherboard or replace the hard drive or replace the RAM. I had to replace all of it to the tune of $3,000.
It's like that with everything though, vehicles, everything. These companies are pushing out product that you can't just, go underneath and swap out
Totally.
a part. You have to then purchase brand new.
Yeah.
They're doing it as a way to drive sales.
Yeah. We're all buying it.
100%. It's even like, I don't know if you've ever heard about like Apple, when they push out, like the iPhone 15's coming out or has already been out. When the iPhone 16 comes out, the iPhone 12, they'll shut it off.
Yes.
They'll start like dialing it back.
Yep.
I don't understand how, but it just seems to be a thing.
Or it'll just be like the iPhone 12 is slower, or the battery dies faster, or it's laggy. And then it's like, okay, well, now I need to upgrade.
Yeah.
The iPhone 16 just came out.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going for.
Exactly. Yeah, it's called planned obsolescence. It's a really, really great marketing tool, planned obsolescence.
So you just make it obsolete.
That's right.
Yeah.
They plan it. There's a cycle.
Of course.
There's a cycle. And there is a reality around we want bigger, faster, better. And so, like, I actually do think the 15 is better than my phone's an 11. I think the 15 is better, faster. The camera's better. All those things are true. But, like, this is functional. And it's a phone.
Yeah.
It works for what I mean, the 15 is like a computer and a camera and production suite. And all the AI tools that are baked into it are really wild around voice recognition. And
once that stops working, you can't then justify, it's still good. Well, no,
it won't work anymore.
Yeah, it's completely
yeah, totally. Yeah, my wife has been cycling up some of our old phones that we replaced. It's probably like an 8, like an iPhone 8 or something. The thing will not boot. Like, it's bricked. Wow. It will not boot.
Jeez. Yeah.
It's been sitting in a drawer. Like, maybe that's the problem. Doubt it. Like,
right? Like it still should charge.
Do they do it from like inception? Do they program it after this amount of years or this amount of runtime?
No wonder. Yeah. That's a good question.
Yeah, that'd be very interesting.
So do you have a full-time job or do you do a bunch of things?
Like media creation would be my full-time gig.
Okay.
That's like what I do.
Yeah.
Website design, logo design, software development.
Logo design?
Yeah, that was...
Yeah, you made these.
I did. AI
did.
I shouldn't take credit. I mean, I did say things, but AI made these.
Yes.
AI did make these.
I prompted AI to make these. Which there's, I mean, I think there's some skill in prompting AI, but it's like, it's
great.
But honestly, so I think this is really cool. I think it's really fun and interesting and great, but it literally was 15 minutes of work for me. Like it wasn't, right? Like if I'm going to do like hand draw a logo or dig it, I'm going to spend 40 hours on something. And AI definitely isn't at a place where it's like as good as what we can do, but I don't know how much longer I have a job. Like that's a real thing, right?
Yeah.
That's part of the reason I'm so interested in AI and learning how to use it as a tool. And is like website design is a great example of this. I can't imagine 2 years from now, I won't be able to sit down on a computer and text prompt a shop, a store, an e-commerce platform really simply and quickly without any code.
And have it in 10 seconds.
And have it created immediately. Like, and I can actually I have some tools that are available but are like pretty nerdy that I can like almost do that with today.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Like I can text prompt full content for websites that I can then copy and paste out. I can have an AI scrape a current website and create the content for that website.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's really, really wild.
And I will say, I messaged you, hey, this is our podcast name. This is kind of what we're going for.
Yeah.
Literally in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We had a logo.
Well, multiple logos. Like you said.
Logos.
And if we're like, let me know what you want to change, it would be like, oh, can you try this? 2 minutes later, here's another thing.
I felt so bad. And you're like, it is so easy.
This is so easy.
Yeah.
It's true.
But I did want to take a second to thank our sponsor for today's video. Since we're talking about these awesome sweaters.
Yeah. Nice.
These are from 519 Clothing out of London, Ontario. Link will be in the description down below. They're a great organization, great individuals running the program or running the company. But the main piece of 519 is that 10% of all proceeds go back to FEMAP, which is mental health awareness. It's a support system, but it's completely driven off of donations, outside support. There's no internal funding. So definitely go check out 519. Thank you again, Taylor, and the crew over at 519 for giving us our new set of swag. But yeah.
I want to go back to my question.
Yeah.
So do you technically, like, are you self-employed per se? And then people reach out to you, like, say the Knights, they want you to do their media. So then that would be something you're working on. So you're technically in
freelance.
I don't know if it's freelance. I'm just thinking like an independent, like you work for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So we're a corp. We're a corporation.
Okay.
We're a small agency.
Okay.
That does agency marketing work.
Gotcha.
And we actually pride ourselves on being multidisciplinary. So there's a lot of agencies or other agencies out there that will do something really great in a specific niche. And that's a really great business model. It's boring for me. I'm a little ADHD. I'm actually a lot ADHD, but as I'm learning more and more through my marriage. But the agency work allows me to do lots of different things,
right? And
to stay in the front half of projects, which I'm good at. I'm good at ideation and creativity. I'm really bad at follow through and the tail end of projects. And so I can have people on our team that actually do that really well, pursue that really well. And we work with other freelancers, individuals, other agencies. We white label, we do our own projects. White labeling is just a term for when we provide our services to other agencies, but our name doesn't get put on things.
Okay. And this is Made by Frame?
That's Made by Frame.
Made by Frame. Do you have any other businesses?
Yeah, a couple.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dive into those a little
well,
bit.
Are you the owner of these?
Yeah. So when I started these companies, it was actually important for me to do partnerships. That was actually a value for me. When we sat down with our lawyer and our accountant was like, literally like, you sure you want to do partnerships? Like, they blow up. Partnerships blow up and they're really terrible often.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, like, I'm really certain I want to do partnerships. And so we've structured shares and fees in a way that does it really well. So Made by Frame has 4 owners in it. One is kind of a silent-ish partner at this point. He was like a really legit web designer, and his wife blew up in the painting world. She's like a really amazing fine art painter. And then they also run something called the Handmade Market, which locally that's pretty well known. It's like this really amazing. They do these markets throughout the year. Yep. They're really awesome. And then the other guy is we have a software developer lead who does all of our front end and back end development, and then we have a video documentarian lead, and so he does our like long form video work.
Wow.
And then I have another company with different partners that does family and wedding photography. I launched those both at the same time and with different partners and kind of structured slightly differently. And we learned from both of them how those both work. And then I have a third corp with different partners that is a software as a service company. That's like the next big push for me, is moving out of service-based or product-based sales where we sell one website to a company one time,
right,
to selling a product. So instead of service-based, we're moving towards product-based, where we're actually creating a software that we can scale.
Okay.
The first product that we're launching is a website builder, and it's templated. There's websites that you can, or actually utilizing AI content creation for that to do the text inputs.
Would it be the equivalent of like a Wix?
Yeah.
A Wix?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Our shtick for that company, it's still in its infancy, so I mean, I won't give the long pitch for that one, but the difference for us is that what we're calling it DI with, not DIY. So we're connecting people to a human being to do that stuff. Wix is awesome. Squarespace, those are really cool. They do really good stuff. They look really pretty, and you're on your own.
Right.
So you better be willing to put the time and effort into figuring it out,
or know what's appealing, know what's kind of in market currently. Right?
Totally. Yeah. So they're really powerful tools. And we're trying to do something a little bit different than that. Yeah.
And then you also we touched upon it a little bit differently, something that's kind of in the mix right now, implementing or leading companies towards having a digital presence.
Yeah, cool.
Especially companies that don't have a digital presence as of right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's some really big funding out there by the federal government. It's called the CDAP, or the Canadian Digital Adoption Plan. And it's a grant that facilitates what they're calling digital transformation. It all feels a little buzzwordy to me. Like I always feel like when I'm getting a call on this stuff and I have to say like, I can help you with your digital transformation. It's like just such corporate buzzwords. But the theory, the idea is helping companies transition into digital efficiencies, like ways of making their business more efficient using digital media or marketing, helping with marketing boosts, or different CRMs like content management systems, CMSs, or customer relationship management stuff. That's all automated and digitized. Even things like bolstering POS systems or launching e-commerce, or ways of making businesses more money by helping them with digital transformation or digital media.
So do you plan to tie that in with your website creation company? That's Made by Frame.
Yeah, that's under the umbrella of Made by Frame, which is our like corporate wing.
Right.
The stuff that does all the corporate work that we do is Made by Frame.
Okay.
Yeah. So that, I mean, we're what you call a digital advisor with the federal government, or we've been accepted into the digital advisor program. It's really cool.
How'd you get into that?
We applied. Like we showed them some things that we're going to do. Our software developer is a Dal grad. He's a Dalhousie software engineering grad. He's like a legitimate software engineer.
Wow.
So while I always feel like I'm a little bit of a, I learned it. He actually learned actual software engineering.
Right.
And so between him and I, we can do these things, and it's a consulting grant. So we come in, and the government pays for us to spend actually quite a bit of time with the company, interviewing them, talking about where their pinch points are, what hurts, what's working, and then writing a consultation plan that they can access more funds for to then implement.
Yeah.
But the government pays our way.
So for all the companies out there, they don't actually pay you
$0.
It's all through the federal government.
The federal government pays for the whole grant. The grant pays for all of our consulting fees.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's like it's a $4 billion grant that the federal government has earmarked for this. It's like lots of money.
Yeah.
And it's in $15,000 chunks. So you can imagine how many grants that creates. I mean, we could do the quick math on it.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of grants. Yeah. And it's actually it's a good amount of consulting time for us to be involved in the conversations that we're having.
And what is their, like, the federal government they don't do anything unless it benefits them.
Yeah.
So what is their reason for implementing it? Is because they want to get away from paper and they want to get away from that?
I'd have to look up the stats on this again. You can fact check this in the show notes. You don't actually have to. That was a joke. But the small businesses in Canada make up something like 45% of tax money.
Wow.
On the corporate side. It's high. Like small or micro businesses.
Yeah.
So that's what this grant is for. I mean, the grant is, you have to be making between $500,000 and it's like $100 million, which $100 million is like massive.
Yeah.
But some $100 million companies.
Year over year.
In a year. In any of the last 3 years, you have to make that much money. So $500,000 for a small business is a lot of money. But we're finding, so that's gross, which means like if you're a company that is buying and selling, like you're buying tractors and you're selling tractors. Well, you probably sold one tractor and you made $500,000.
Yeah.
You make that profit.
They're not looking at overall revenue. They're just looking at gross movement through the company.
Yeah, that's right. So that has actually opened up a lot of opportunities for lots of companies that are buying and selling or doing things. Construction companies are doing this a lot, right? You're buying a lot of lumber, you're building a house. So there's lots of money moving back. You may not be making.
Yeah, it's one building.
It's one house, right? So there's, and a lot of those companies are really great with their digital footprint. So in theory, why is the government doing this and what are they getting back? They're getting back successful businesses and they're paying taxes.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that money is getting back into our economy and they're keeping companies alive. Because actually it's been tough. Like running a company over the last 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
It's been tough. COVID sucked.
I'm sure
it sucked for small businesses.
Yeah.
We actually were probably in the sector that did well because so many companies realized, oh crap, nobody's going anywhere anymore. We actually need an online presence.
We need to
do e-commerce. And so we managed okay. Though we had to make a major pivot into web design away from, like pre-COVID, I was on a plane every 5-6 weeks doing a project in some other country for video work, for photo work.
Yep.
And obviously all that just disappeared. We weren't traveling anymore. So we shifted pretty hard into, into the digital footprint side of things, creating websites, social media, that stuff. And we were able to manage, and it was fine. But we saw a lot, like there's like the restaurant industry.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Tons.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I mean, even healthcare. I know I'm sure you have lots of opinions about how healthcare suffered. Like our healthcare people, whew,
Yeah.
it's been challenging, right?
Have you guys adjusted back since?
To pre-COVID?
Yeah.
No.
Still same backlogs.
We
Reduction in staff.
even on a small scale, like masks weren't a thing pre-COVID, unless it was like somebody has TB, like it was
Sure.
very whatever. Masks got implemented. I think we lifted masks earlier this year. I can't even remember. Maybe in May. Not for long. So now we're back to full masking
Right.
in the hospitals. So that's even just on a small scale.
Is that recent? Because I know we do some work with some long-term care homes.
Yeah.
We have some clients, and that has been a recent. And now I have to mask back up when I'm going in to do meetings. Or
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's recent. I don't think masks will ever kind of go.
Yeah.
Just because we're kind of seeing COVID as like a flu in a sense of like it's seasonal and it's worse in the colder months and it gets better in the summer. So I don't think masks will ever go away like they used to.
Fully.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So part of ADHD that I'm learning more and more about myself, something called hyperfixation.
Yeah.
And during COVID, I got like massively hyperfixated. But one of the interesting things that I learned, because we had a lot of time at home, and my baby was born March 2nd, 2020.
Yeah. So like
That's like peak, or was that?
peak COVID.
So like the world shut down.
Yeah.
Like mid to late March.
Yeah.
Like everything shut down.
Yeah.
So we were like, we were right before anything really went wild. Like I was able to be in hospital, be at all the meetings, like nothing. We were all, February 2020, we were like hearing, this is a thing. Like
Go home from school.
Yeah, like this is gonna be a thing. And then we had a baby, and then for the first 6 months of our baby's life, COVID blew up.
Yeah.
And we actually just didn't know. Like we were being hyper concerned because we were like, we don't know if this is going to infect babies. We don't know if like what is the immune system doing. Obviously, babies have suppressed immunology in the first few months, and like it's actually a major thing. So we were just like locked down. So I had a lot of time to do a lot of reading.
Yeah.
I mean, my work is I'm remote, so I can work from a computer anywhere. But yeah, like if I just keep hoping or wondering, like, I mean, we talk about I could do the same thing about AI that I could do about viruses. You probably know way more about this than I do. But this reality, the last project that I was supposed to be on before COVID shut down, I actually would have been on a plane. I think it was 3 weeks after my daughter Genevieve was born. So it would have been like late March. I would have jumped on a plane, and I was going to do a project in the DRC in the Congo, it was it was an Ebola outbreak project.
Oh wow!
Where I was going to film documentaries of the scientists, of the doctors, of the people working on the forefront of Ebola. So we would have been stuck in the Congo. Like I would have been landlocked. I wouldn't have been able to fly out if I would have actually got on that flight. Thankfully, the people that I was flying with were like monitoring everything that was going on, and they were out of Europe, and so they were a little bit of ahead of the game of shutting down stuff and figuring out what was happening. So they canceled all the flights, and I didn't get on a plane and didn't get stuck over there for a few months or a couple months, which I would have really missed my baby, and that would have been a wild life experience. But one of the things that I started thinking about was the challenge with Ebola is it's like death rate is too high for it to be like
infectious,
and you die.
Are you talking about Ebola?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you get it and you die. So if your chart is like viruses, death and infection rate, death and infection rate, COVID is like down here. A bunch of deaths, but really infectious.
Yeah.
But not like a gajillion deaths. And Ebola is like the opposite side of that graph.
Okay.
Lots of deaths, sort of infectious. I mean, if you run into Ebola, you're going to get it, but you're definitely going to die, and you're going to die too fast to infect, like for the R rate to be radically high.
Yeah.
So you're not going to infect 100 people who are going to infect 100 people. You're going to infect 2 or 3 of your family who are going to infect 1 or 2, and you're all going to die too fast.
Yeah.
So it exists in small populations, but you can manage it really quickly. The challenge comes when that virus, that breakthrough up here, right? Really infectious, but like mostly deadly.
Yeah.
What's crazy is when you're talking about that, all I can think about is the Apple game Plague Inc. Did you ever play that?
Yeah.
No.
Did you ever play that?
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's the exact same thing. It's there, in order to succeed at the game, you can't make something so infectious but a low death rate.
Yeah.
But you can't make something that its death rate is through the roof and not infectious. There's like a fine median, and that's what's very scary.
Yeah. So hopefully, I don't know if I have, like, I'm probably not good at this stuff. I like to bury my head in the sand and pretend the world's great, right? Like I want to do that a little bit, but hopefully we learn some things about viral management or virus management.
Hopefully. It was a scary time for everybody, especially for you being in healthcare.
I will say it's picking up again, but it's the season.
It's scary. Only one other thing I really wanted to touch on. This was completely off the rocker. I just happened to see it on Instagram today. You were on The Price is Right.
It's great. Yeah.
You were?
Yeah.
With like Bob Barker?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
like
so
rest in peace,
exciting.
Bob. But I saw it and I'm like, there's no way I'm actually seeing this before we do our podcast.
Did you post
that?
That's so great. So again, a long time ago, when he passed, I think I posted something on social that was like, memorializing that experience for me and my connection to that show. Yeah. So I had a buddy who lived in LA. He moved down there for work right out of high school. And I was actually still in high school. I did the full 5th year. We had OACs back then, like the Ontario Academic Credits. If we were going to go to university, we had to do this 5th year. But I also was like, I enjoyed high school. So it was like fun doing the full 5th year. So he didn't, and he went down to work near LA. And so we went down to visit his sister, his girlfriend, and myself went down to visit him. We went a few times, but that first trip, he had been, his dad's company was owned by a company that was down there, and he went to work for his dad's parents' company. Does that make sense?
And just stayed.
And he stayed down.
Yeah.
He like took a job down there, lived down there. And so that very first year, because his dad's company was down there, they had traveled down there a bunch. He knew the people he was working with and their kids and their friends. So he had a friendship group kind of built in. So he and another buddy of ours flew down there, lived down there. And we went down to visit like that March break. And because you're in LA, you go to The Price is Right.
Mark.
Tickets are free.
How long did you stand in line? Because isn't it first come, first served?
It's first come, first serve.
Yeah.
But there's 2 tapings that day. And so we showed up to the morning stand in line for the afternoon taping. Oh, wow. And we were able to go through and do our whole thing. We were probably there a couple hours. And then we went to see like the Hollywood sign and then came back and our spots were saved because we'd already done the standing in line thing.
Right.
And it was like, I totally can't remember every detail, but I think there was about 300-ish people in the studio audience, maybe a bit more than that.
Yeah.
It's not like massive. So you're that many people, but it's not random draw.
No, they come while you're standing in line, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like personality based.
Yeah.
And
oh, you must have hit it right off.
I mean, I think I've proven I can talk.
Oh, yeah.
On the cast. I haven't allowed anyone else to get a word in edgewise. But
this is great.
So they file everybody in front of these 3 producers. They're like up on these chairs, kind of separated, roped off. And this is the late 90s. So, I mean, you maybe saw the photo of me on there, but I like NSYNC style bleach blonde.
I was going to say spiky hair.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to look at these pictures after.
Yeah, you got to check it out.
Yeah.
It's comedy. It's like everything you would expect. It was 1998. Like it's everything you would expect somebody in 1998.
I'll put it back up.
1998 to look like. Yeah, it's comedy. But I also was wearing bright orange mod robes, which were basically scrubs. Like they're like this old. They're just so hilarious. I was wearing bright orange pants, bright red shirt. You can probably seeing this photo on the screen at the moment. And these like amazing Nike shoes that had like strap overs.
Love it.
The hilarious thing about it was that it's like I didn't dress up for this episode.
Yeah.
Like, that was just in my rotation. Like that was just outfit.
That was just one of your outfits.
Yeah, it was just like regular outfit that I wore on the reg. And so they file you in front and they asked us, where are you from and what do you do? Those are the questions. And so my friends are saying, we're from Niagara. And I answer, we're from St. Catharines, this is near Niagara Falls. Like, y'all will know Niagara Falls. And what do you do? I'm a petroleum transfer engineer. And they were like, what?
You said that?
Yeah.
Or you weren't actually?
They were like, what? And I was like, yeah, petroleum transfer engineer. Yeah, I pump gas at a full service station.
Oh, I love it. He's a gas boy.
Yeah. I was pumping at a full serve gas station. Thought that was a hilarious joke.
That's incredible.
One of them then made a comment about my hair, like something about it being spiky and blonde. And I said, well, you got to come down and touch it then.
Yeah.
And I was like using half a bottle of Dep gel every morning to get it to be as spike as you can imagine. And so they did. Like the person came down and like crunchy hair, and then went back up and sat on their seats, and we filed back around. And one of the assistants, I think they're called pages, but the CBS employees came over and they were holding like a "Be Quiet" sign, and he like put it down and was like, "That was a really good sign that he came down to check out your hair. That was like a good one. I think you're gonna be on." And then he walked away. And sure enough, I was called within the first 3 people down to contestants.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you made it all the way to...
So I'm on like the whole episode because I was not very good at bidding.
Yep.
So I think I got up second last. I was like first 4, is it 3 people? 3 people, 4 people? I can't remember.
4 people.
4 people.
4 people.
First of the group called down.
Yeah.
And I didn't get up until the second last person called up. I didn't like bid to get up on stage until that last one. So I got a chance to bid $1 in the show, didn't win. And then it came up and it was a cappuccino machine. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember what my bid was, but it was close enough to win and get up on stage. The cappuccino machine, I think I bid like $700 or something like that. And the cappuccino machine was worth like $25. It was like a really legit full-on cappuccino machine.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I think I bid the highest number though, so I was the closest, even though none of us were really actually all that close. And then I got up there and it was a game called 10 Chances, which they give you 10 chances to win the prizes. The first thing so they're doing the whole like, you have a chance to win this frying pan, this electric skillet, and they do their whole thing. Or you can also win this lawnmower or a new car, the classic new car reveal.
Was that the red car in the picture?
Red car, yeah. So I ended up winning. I like got it all in a row. Yeah, I won the car. I won the skillet and the lawnmower and the car. The 10 chances game is it's like mixed up numbers and you have 10 chances to win all 3 prizes.
Right.
And you have to write the numbers in order. And for whatever reason, I was in the zone of pricing. I mean, I have no idea how I managed to win what I did. Like, it's just...
Was that what the last one was, like 1480 or...
Yeah, it was like something like that, 14,790 or something, 14,780 or whatever. Yeah. And I got it in the very first try. That's like, awesome. I got the car. I have no idea. Like, luck. It's all luck. Yeah. I wasn't studying prices. But then went into the Showcase Showdown. It was the big winner. Yeah. And then I did the spin-off thing and won the spin-off and went into the Showcase Showdown and ended up winning the Showcase Showdown as well.
Oh, you did?
Like a trip around the world and some cash.
No way.
So I got the full experience.
That's awesome.
Price is Right experience.
Okay, I've always wanted to know this. When you win that, did you have to pay tax? Was it an outright? They just gave it to you?
Yeah. So here's the lesson learned about being a Canadian. So you pay tax. Technically income tax, but as Canadians we can claim that back.
Right.
So I didn't know that, and I let too much time pass, and I never got that money back. But you can, anything you win, casinos, game shows, anything in the States, we don't pay income tax on that. So even though you have to pay it, you can then apply to get all that money back that you would have paid. So I took a cash payout. I won like $40,000 worth of stuff. I took a cash payout of about 20 because it's taxed pretty high.
Yeah.
And so I got a check for $20,000, and he's as an 18-year-old, there was no complaints.
Yeah.
And my parents were really good about it. They were just like, spend it, have fun. So I just did. I like spent.
Yeah.
But if you knew what you knew now, you could have then got that $20,000 back.
If I knew what I would do things way differently. I would get the money back and I would buy a house. And
yes.
And I'd own real estate today.
Yes.
Probably paid off with no mortgage.
Why didn't you take the trip?
So I had to decide if I was going to take the trip and pay the taxes on it. And the trip was worth like $18,000 or something. And so I would have had to pay 40% taxes on $18,000, like actual cash out of pocket.
You would have had to do it out of pocket.
Yeah. And I just didn't have.
Yeah.
So I just was like, I'll just take a cash pay.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And wonderfully, I've been able to travel the world since. So I actually have no complaints about it. And it's been, there's no complaints. But I would do things different that way. But what are you going to do? I don't have regrets, obviously. It's a hilarious story.
And not a lot of people can say that they
got a pretty sweet check from
and
studios.
Bob Barker.
And it was Bob Barker. Yeah.
That's awesome.
How much later did he end up switching over, like, and not doing it?
I don't remember what the, like, years.
Yeah.
It was years after that he was still on. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Any game show stories? Have you been on a game show?
No.
Right. That's the only one that I've been on.
No, I haven't. I've been to live tapings of like Big Brother Canada, but I've never been on a game show. No. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's a good party story. That's a good
100%. And the fact you made it all the way to the end,
Exactly.
hashed out.
Yeah,
And
exactly. There was a bunch of us. I mean, of that group of friends, 10 or 12 of us, like 6 of us got up on stage.
Wow.
I won the most. But like we had another guy win a car, people getting contestants row. Like, lots of people getting up there. We were all a bunch of really personable young men, young gentlemen.
which is what they want. Outgoing individuals that are they're gonna get the camera appeal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
100%.
Exactly.
I think that's it. I think we covered kind of everything.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was anything else you wanted to touch on.
Well, I just feel like I talked a lot, and now I feel like I need to interview you. So, come back for another episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll
Exactly.
interview the two of you about your relationship and about home ownership.
Maybe not a year from now, but
Absolutely.
That might be too long. All right.
No, come back as soon
Anytime.
as possible. Anytime. Mr. Miles likes you.
Yeah, there we go.
he was pretty engaged. Some of this, he
became
was
friends.
staring right at you.
Where's Ivy?
She's sleeping on the couch.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
No, yeah, this has been great. We
Cool.
touched on tons of stuff.
And everybody who knows me will be really happy that you didn't ask me about schooling. That's like the big thing in my life right now, right? We got to think about, and I have lots of opinions about our current school system.
Yeah.
That I make lots of enemies with, I think. No, that's not true. I always like to say, here's my thing. Now I'm getting into schooling, but I always like to say I'm very pro-teacher.
Yeah.
I just don't like our education system as it currently
Fair.
That's fair.
That'll be episode 2.
Yeah, that'll be
Yes,
episode
you'll
2.
have to come back.
We will.
We have to think about registration for my daughter in January. So we're like only a couple months away from like deciding what we're going to do. So
Then we
it's
can
like,
chat.
That's fair.
about it a lot.
Then we
Yeah.
can chat 100%. No, this has been absolutely awesome. Like touched on tons of things. Hopefully those of you who are viewing and listening got to learn something new, got a little bit of insight into AI, Bob Barker,
A whole bunch
aging
of things.
yourself. I don't know, a bunch of things.
There you go.
This has been awesome. So this kind of concludes another episode of Life Unscripted. Hit that like, follow, and subscribe button and bell notification. We'll see you on the next one.